think we're live, buddy.
All right.
Hopefully, at least.
Trying to see what you have on your thumbnail. That
This,
was at Riverside, right?
yeah, back in the old 50K days. R.I.P.
I wish they still did it. It's a
Yeah.
shame.
Well, no one showed up, so you can't really run a competition when no one shows up.
Yeah, I mean, you got a point, right? But here we are,
Yeah.
post St. Louis.
I'm
Thank
really,
goodness.
I'm really excited for the clutch kicker steal.
Me too.
I
I
really
think.
want to be able to go out to that. Hoping.
Well, yeah, it's like closer to you, right?
I'm like, hey, it's not across the country every time, so I'm excited.
It's still like how many hours though?
Um, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It's under 10, I think.
Okay.
I
Single
probably
digits,
drive.
not bad.
Yeah.
That's not terrible. Even at 10, it's not that bad. What's up
No. We got
there,
Drift
Drift
Chat
Chat?
in here. What's up?
Drift Chat and Drift Chat.
Drift Chat showing up, man.
But yeah, St. Louis, not bad. Not bad weather. Not bad driving. Bad outer zone 4. Stupid K rails that they got angled because they can't figure out that things have inertia and physics work in certain ways.
mm-hmm. Well,
Uh,
there's actually a lot that happened this weekend. Honestly, the uh, the fun,
coming out hot.
the one thing I was worried about this weekend going into it. Well, there should have been. There was a couple things, but the main thing was the weather, because we've had some miserable times at St. Louis in the past
Every other time I've
couple
been there.
years. I mean, every time I've been there, it's been something. Crazy hurricane weather, tornado weather, stupid heat that just like wants to kill you.
Last year it was crazy that rainstorm that happened during the prospect, like right
Mm-hmm.
before their practice, dude. That
Yep.
was sick. I mean, probably not for you because you were probably on track. I was in the pit still,
Oh yeah.
and I waited underneath the paddock, and I was chilling there. That's where I got like the cool, like the B-roll, and like
Yep.
Ryan Semantic had taken the temperature of the asphalt right before it had rained, and it was like close to 160 fucking degrees because that place is miserable. And then after it rained, dude, I swear it came down to like 98, 99. I'm like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like that. It was so much so fast. Oh gosh.
But
But yeah, we
yeah,
got blessed this year.
I know it was wonderful weather. Um, and I think it tried to sprinkle once for like a split second, but
It definitely tried.
it tried, but it didn't actually do anything.
No.
But and if it wasn't the weather that wasn't gonna you know make things interesting this weekend, it was gonna be the event itself. We got Malik. What's up, Malik?
Sub partner.
Formula Drift. Well, it actually wasn't Formula Drift's decision. Um, so before people get mad at Formula Drift, I know that this has already been said a bunch of times. The changes to the track were not Formula Drift's decision.
It's true. They are cool. I think that they are cool. Just executed a little poorly.
Executed
O-
poorly, and
Outer Zone 4 is not cool.
I don't know. I think it's kind of silly to chance ending someone's chassis just because you don't want to mess up grass.
Well, I don't necessarily look at it like that. I think that if they had the proper walls instead of
Yeah, yeah.
like, you get like the one side where it has that and the other side is flat, like everybody's been sharing,
Mm-hmm.
like the ones that are literally like basically up on their outside wall for the oval track, but it's a little different. It's got a cushion and everything going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
But like then, if you were to hit that, then at least you're not gonna bunny hop and start
Right.
absolutely tearing everything else up. Like you're gonna do a little bend and snap, but like well, not as bad as Long Beach. It's like you
Yeah.
really got one, and the
Mm-hmm.
way you initiate is with the wall, so at least you're not throwing it directly at it.
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
I was a fan of it in the aspect of like it's just cool to see people ride, not literally ride the wall, but
Right.
ride the wall. Yeah,
Well, yeah, bumper dragging is always great to see. It's great to film. We've got some great
yeah,
shots of it from the weekend. It's super cool. The obviously the biggest problem is the fact that they use K rails instead of regular flat walls,
yeah,
and as stated earlier, that causes cars to flip, which is probably the most dangerous thing about drift. Well, I guess you could say the dangerous element in drifting is when you flip the car, because in general you're not going that fast in comparison to other motorsports,
yeah,
and you're generally driving the similar speed as the car you're next to. So crashes between each car usually aren't like super bad.
yeah.
So it's one of those things where drifting, the way I explained it to a couple people, is drifting's actually the safest motorsport you can get into
It really is.
because of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, I mean, obviously you're gonna crash probably more than you would in other motorsports, but you're going slower, and when you are on track with another car, they're in general going similar speeds as you are.
yep,
In almost all occasions, so that's where when you do crash into them, and they're not major crashes. You're
yeah.
not
This just
usually
added
you're
that
not
extra
ending chassis
variable
when you hit
of
someone.
yeah. This added that chassis variable a little extra.
Yeah.
But Malik, it definitely added a variable. I just used that twice in two sentences, but it definitely added a little. Not I don't want to say difficulty, but definitely
Well,
a difficulty in a way.
it it
It
so
blocks a little.
this is actually an interesting conversation to have. So FD in the last 3 years has changed the filming locations at St. Louis. And, well, not changed them, but taken locations away in the last couple of years. Um, 2 years ago, they took away our location to shoot basically on the outside of Outer Zone 4.
Yep.
They now have a bunch of like advertisement banners there, so we can't shoot there anymore, which
Yep.
I find very silly because that was one of the coolest shots of the whole event, was shooting down that line, getting wall taps. But now you
Yep.
can't get that anymore. So that's slightly frustrating. But then this year they decided to take a media box that was outside of Outer Zone 3.
Two. Yeah, I was on 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
between there,
Yeah.
in between Outer Zone 2 and 3, we had a media box. And it wasn't the greatest shot for video, but it was helpful because it helped us get to the other two media boxes that are there. Um, since they took out that middle media box, it made getting to the other media box extremely difficult, and a lot of the times we weren't able to make it to the locations we wanted to in a decent amount of time. So actually, the walls didn't necessarily affect it, but FD themselves affected our media plans for the weekend.
Yeah.
Although the walls did affect one of my shots I like to get, which I like to shoot right on
Yeah.
entry, shoot through the fence.
Which
Base,
is outside of outer 4.
yes, outside Outer Four. Obviously, I can't shoot any of Outer Four because there's a
Yeah.
big, but I can shoot through the fence and watch them enter. But now I can't really get that. I couldn't really get that shot
Yeah.
because of the K rails there now. But as for the most part, it didn't really affect much of my shooting. It's just St. Louis is always a super boring track to shoot for the most part. I mean, yeah, you're gonna get some carnage, which is always fun to get, but the actual aesthetics of the track and our shooting locations, I would not say are super great.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely very basic of the places that you're gonna go to.
Mm,
Everybody's gonna get the same exact shot. You know, it is
yeah.
what it is.
So, as far as filming goes, it was a little frustrating this year because I felt like I had a lot of very similar shots, similar angles, and there really
Yeah.
wasn't much I could do about it. Um,
Yeah. No, I feel like everybody honestly struggled unless like you had like a remote camera somehow somewhere. But even
mhm,
then, it's like you're gonna get now one angle.
yeah,
It is what it is. Like it definitely stinks because it was good weather and it made me want to be like, like, all right, well, what are we doing? Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
But they're literally, this is it. It's like, well, take your choice. Would you like this or this?
Yeah, literally two main spots, and then there was one location I shot that I really didn't see anyone else shooting at. On entry, it was the other side of entry, but
Yeah, I saw you
it's
over there.
literally just one shot of them entering and then going around the corner.
It's good for, that's a good photo spot,
Hmm.
like getting that or whatever. But like, even honestly, for like, I was watching your videos and I like it. I mean, I would always get like at least one run of everybody from there,
Hmm.
because you tie like a clip together or whatever, you know.
Yep. Yep. So it's I don't know, like one of those weekends where I'm not excited to really shoot the event, but then I am, because what I like about shooting St. Louis is it's really fun to get the pit stuff. Even though it's like away from people, it's like easy access for me to go see everyone pitted up and shoot like action in the pits, which is what I did some of this weekend. And so that this is because some events are way better than others. Like
Hmm.
Atlanta is almost, it's awful to try and get them working on the cars and stuff, because if they're up at hot pits, they are way far away
Yeah, and ain't no
from you.
way you're running.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
So it's just one of those events where it has its pluses and minuses, a lot of minuses, but it actually it turned out to be a pretty fun event this year. Even with all the drama of the change track and
Yeah,
all that kind of
Kelsey
stuff.
Rawlings doing a skid for the fourth
Man,
run out. I felt
and I
so
guess,
bad.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's where we can start. Obviously, there was a bunch of drivers on that first track walk that were complaining about the K rails and then complaining about the final corner as well.
Yep, I watched
Just
Forsberg's video on YouTube last night, and he like was, I didn't realize how much that he was bitching about it on the track walk, and like they were
mm-hmm.
all making fun of
Dude,
it. It was so funny.
well, everyone was upset. I did a
Yeah,
video with Matt Field that morning on the
yeah,
track,
yeah.
and
He
he
was part. He
complained
was
about
part
it,
of
and he
that.
was really confused on how he would even attack the track.
Yep.
Especially that final corner is really awkward.
It is. It's like it comes in like normal, and then it's just like, nah. All right, now it's a straight line out,
It
basically.
Yeah, it really makes things, in my opinion, kind of ugly. But
Does, because they don't
obviously
paint
FD
red and
didn't really
white.
have much of a choice. You got to make you're at this track for this year. You're gonna have to make accommodations to do what the track wants to do. So,
Abide by what they like. Yep.
hmm yeah, and obviously they didn't want to clean up some grass, so this was the compromise.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was pretty universally said that K rails were very dangerous, and then
Yeah.
4 runs in, and it's what's sad is we were literally a bunch of the prospect guys, and I was hanging out with them, and we were all joking with Kelsey about like what
Doing
she
it
did
again.
last year,
Yeah.
and just like I just giving her some crap and stuff and having fun, and she goes out first run and
Does it again,
does it again, and
unfortunately.
it's just like, oh no.
Thankfully, it wasn't
I
as
was,
bad,
yeah,
but
no, it wasn't as bad. They got our car back out there, but it's one of
yeah.
those things where we knew someone was gonna do it,
Yeah,
and
and it just happened to be her, and it happened to
mhm.
be that soon.
I'm
She,
surprised no one else for a while went into it.
yeah,
You know, it was one of those things where I think the drivers really did a good job this weekend in preventing as much slowdown as possible. I don't know if they just drove conservatively, but man, after Kelsey's crash, we did not have many slowdowns for most of the weekend.
no, it was a very gray shooting time.
Well, not great. I would say it's fast paced. I would say we were running through cars.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it was so much smoke that it was shooting through
Oh, okay,
gray.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Very smoky.
like, honestly, like I said to Matt, I was like, yo, dude, I was like, honestly, that's something that I might want to. I'm considering about bitching about. It's because like media is what they are. Like
Mm,
you can't have like the like us do our job properly or like good or whatever, like crystal clear. Like I'm all for running back to back to back, because like cool. Like, good. They get more
Yeah,
seat
more
time,
runs and stuff. Yeah, more
whatever.
runs to
Like
shoot,
all
whatever.
around, like more for us to shoot, like whatever.
Hmm.
But like, man, it just becomes ugly to a point. Like that's why like when I had that like the memory card issue too, like I was also like, all right, well I'm not gonna record this one. We don't need them, and it's gray as shit. I'm like,
Hmm.
what the? I'm like, this is ugly as So
Yeah,
I
it's one of
mean,
those. It's one of those things where you got to take the good with the bad, and depending on where you were, especially when you were up on the fence line, like yeah, you're
yeah,
getting smoked out. The almost the
yeah.
entire run was useless. You know.
That's yeah, definitely like that's like you can get it obviously like once it's competition time, it's fine
Hmm.
obviously because it's just one and then two.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was like my only complaint, honestly. And Matt's like, that does make kind of sense. I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy that bitches. And then now all the drivers have to suffer because my dumbass is like, oh, it's too smoky. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm sure I'd have a couple people in the audience that would agree, but at the same time, I'd probably have a lot of haters.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where
Yeah, pick and choose your
shooting
battle.
through. Yeah, you gotta. And I would always prefer drivers to drive more. That's always been a big complaint of FD is drivers don't get enough practice, especially the pro spec guys.
Yeah.
So the fact that
Guess it would
everyone,
help too if the pro spec guys just got a little closer to each other. It would have just made things so much easier and better.
yeah, well, unfortunately, there's definitely a skill gap in that series still.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, the competition actually was pretty solid, and
If
there
you
was
think it could
some.
be serious, ask me to call emergency services or someone.
Oh, she thought you called her.
Why is Siri calling emergency services?
She thought you said to. Damn, bro, you're gonna get swatted.
I guess so.
You big streamer guy already
Uh,
getting swatted.
yeah, all. Yeah, okay. Um,
Yeah.
but I think there was I mean, we'll just start with prospect and the prospect sessions. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of good battles in this. I personally was a big fan of the model of Tommy Lemaire battle. That
Yeah.
was pretty hyped. It was one of those things, and I picked. It was like after the first practice session, I picked Mono to win because he was just wall to wall, and he
Yeah,
was
he
like
was
one
he
of the
was a
few
fun
guys
one to
that was
watch.
doing that,
Yeah,
And
and he
then I
says
yelled
at
at him
the
for
podium that he's putting 80% down. I'm like, brother,
um,
80% because you lost the other 20 of your car on the fucking you're just scraping it off piece by piece. Like it looks great. Don't get me wrong, it looks great. But
yeah.
golly, 80%, dude. I'm like, you're crazy out there.
I was giving one of his guys crap because he was putting a new tail out on his car. I was like, "Can you name a more useless job? Because this is gonna be gone next run."
Literally. Him this round for sure. He was definitely he was doing the damn thing.
Yeah, and it'll be he created kind of a really cool conversation for going into Utah, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The another I think O'Sully had a bunch of good battles actually. He didn't have an easy road
No,
uh getting up there, so I mean huge congrats to him, obviously, winning prospect or this
crushing it.
round. And Tommy was, I think, the guy to beat, so it
Yeah, and his points competitor.
yeah, so now Tommy and O'Sully are now within 2 points. But obviously the guy that kind of surprised me being up this high was probably a Chestnut. I think he got lucky a couple times. I think Cole broke
Yep.
against him. And
Yep.
then that was the really interesting call with Rudy and Chestnut where Justin spun out behind him, but they blamed it on Rudy. I assume because he was offline.
Yeah,
He
but
happened
what
right in front of me, but I was super confused.
I didn't understand that one either. I truly didn't.
So
But
I just
apparently I think Matt actually agreed with like that call.
hmm
I told him I didn't understand it at all.
well,
So
theoretically, in that position, if Hanson's way offline and there's nowhere for Justin to transition and go, and he's
The thing,
transitioning in the grass basically,
yeah,
then and
I
that
feel
causes
like
him
though
to spin.
the only thing that would have like that Rudy did that might have been wrong though was the fact that he was filling outer one perfectly. He might have extended it too far and then had to do like a harder transition into outer two. But Chestnut found himself in the grass way before I felt like Rudy was even like halfway there. Like he was already way offline. It wasn't due to Rudy.
Yeah.
Like his entry on his door was just not like it was just bad.
Hmm.
So I was a bit shocked on that call. I thought Rudy kind of got shafted a little bit this weekend, but then he also got lucky with the paint line thing.
That's true. And we'll get to that when we
So,
talk about Pro. Which
yeah.
is kind of funny because Pro Spec drove right through the paint stuff and no one complained.
Not nothing.
Just saying.
Ain't no nothing.
But
Yep. Obviously, it's a different, yeah, whatever.
yeah, but it's still. I mean, I was kind of yeah. We'll get to it when we get to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think there was a lot of really good battles in unfortunate places. I think like a Joshua Love Colt Richards battle in top 32 is kind of unfortunate because I think those are two really good drivers. I mean,
Yeah.
even actually, I mean, uh, one of the guys I was we were doing stuff with is Casey, and he's got to go against Cole Richards in the whatever bracket. It's like,
Yeah.
well,
Like
and
I felt pretty bad because Cole definitely. I
but
was shocked that
he
he
was
was
having
even in the
issues
seating
though.
bracket.
Yeah, he was having issues
Yeah.
with that
Uh,
final corner. But
dude, Cole fucking his last run though. His lead against I think Love or who was it against?
Richards, Cole,
Yeah, yeah, but Cole's last run. Who was he against last in main competition? Did he
he
get knocked out by Love?
no, he Casey got knocked out by Richards.
Right, and then in the main
He didn't make it
competition,
to main competition.
I'm talking about Cole.
Oh, you're talking about Cole?
Oh,
Yeah. Remember
Cole
Cole
Richards. Yeah,
broke against Chestnut.
that's right. Yeah, but then his lead run though, when he came back out after breaking on his chase, that was sick.
Yeah,
That
and
was that was that made me like, wow, that's impressive. He's an angry guy.
yeah.
Oh
Oh, I
yeah.
mean, I know he had high hopes for the year, and now he's battling in the like seeding bracket just to make it into the show. So I'm sure there was a little anger behind that.
Oh yeah. For sure. And then the car breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But anyways, sorry.
Yeah,
I
I
forgot
think.
that they're both Coles. Honestly. I did.
Yeah, there's two Coles here,
Yeah. But yeah.
but yeah. I mean, as far as like I think a lot of the round was there wasn't very many one more times until we really got to the top of the driving really.
Yeah.
And it was really in pro. I think we hardly had any one more times in pro spec that I don't remember. So
Um I don't recall,
yeah,
honestly.
I mean, and obviously
There must have been one, maybe.
there might have been one, but
I
the
thought Alex's. I thought that them calling he went off 2 times was crazy. I thought that was a little crazy to me. I watched like the videos back and I'm like, where does he really go off? Like you can't even
Jaeger
see the line. Yeah.
uh,
Like
against
man,
Margaritas.
yeah. I thought that was a little crazy style. That
Gotcha.
I like that I thought should have gone one more time at least. If they had like seen
Mm-hmm.
a fault because like I couldn't see a fault. Like Shayna
Mm-hmm.
didn't really see a fault. And
Right.
like it's I you can't see where the track limits are because they're now painted over black
Mm-hmm.
because it's that thick paint that gets just rubbered up real quick.
Yeah.
and like cool, it's good at the beginning, it's very vibrant, but then it just gets, you don't see it. So like, I was watching, like I said, I was watching some of the clips back that we got, and I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't see where the hell that went wrong. I
Yeah,
was like,
and that was
even with,
another tough. That's another tough battle to be in the seating bracket. Honestly, those
dude,
guys.
again, like
Hmm.
now he's got to do it one more time, and then like same thing with Matt against Dustin.
Hmm.
Like even Dustin was shocked losing against Matt and or winning against Matt in the seating bracket
Hmm.
because like that was just they both did not great, you
And
know.
and I think the judges even said they would have liked to do it one more time. And
Yeah,
it's kind of a frustrating thing that they're trying to make. Obviously, they got to be worried about run times, but like it's
they've
one of
cut it
those.
early every time so far for
Yeah,
the
we've been
seating
done
bracket
early
for
every
pro
single
spec.
time, so it's one of those
Yeah,
things where I think if it really is that difficult of a decision, I don't see the issue in running a one more time. You know,
yeah,
and I think it would just make everyone's temper go down way a lot, like a lot more.
yeah. Lose to yourself rather than like just some stupid. Well, sorry, we don't got one more time now. Like, all right, well, best out of three. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like let me just let's see if we both suck again, or let's see if we both do that good again, where you don't know who to call and you basically have to flip a coin.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um, did LZ go yet? Yeah, he went like 3 times.
But yeah, so Malik asked if anyone crashed into the tires in outer fort. There were a couple, and
Quite a few.
actually
Yeah, I forget exactly how many. Ricky did like
Ricky
three
did.
times in a row.
I feel so bad for
I don't. It was
him.
funny. Come on, man. Like I can only imagine when he hits that. All right, the first time it's like, damn man, I hit it. Second time it's like, fuck, and then the third time it's like, like what could you think? I would be hitting my steer. I would be going insano mode in my car. Like, what am I doing?
Right. Yeah. Um. I know. I remember Nick Yenemez, the blue 350Z. He hit it.
Yep,
I think going
yep,
against Tommy.
yep.
And then, oh, this was kind of a controversial card. Remember the Mata battle versus Kennedy, where Mata
Oh
hits the
yeah,
wall,
yeah. He hit the wall, but they knew.
but they gave it to him because of Zendara slowing down before the transition on Outer Four, which
Yeah,
I agreed with.
I like
I'm
that.
surprised that they saw that.
Yeah, that would have been a one more time, but they knew ultimately. I think that it was a call for the fact of a better show. And
Well, it was a call
sorry.
for the fact that he had a much better lead, and when you slow down in unexpected areas in your lead,
Yep.
you cause the follow driver to go off of line of where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
still was kind of annoyed with Austin when I was talking to him about it. I was like, dude, just slow down. Just pedal the car there for a second, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He
Like,
was wide open.
he was going wide open. I'm like, dude, you know there's a wall there. And maybe he couldn't see it because there was smoke, but.
Yeah. He smacked that thing pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Man, he
There were,
destroyed his car this weekend.
yeah,
But.
but he had a good time doing it though.
Mm-hmm. He
Got a
was
lot
so
of
happy.
runs.
Yeah,
I hope he too. I'd still be partying basically off of that.
I
Like,
know.
sorry, boss. Long trip back from St. Louis.
Yeah. But
Oh.
in the finals, his supercharger basically locked up. Uh, he had no supercharger for his chase run, which he actually made. He didn't zero his chase run. He made it somewhat respectable for only being
Hmm.
like half horsepower.
Yeah.
And then it locked up on his way back. So he couldn't continue the battle. And obviously, so Connor, had his little joy run and got the win there. But I mean, I think let's look
Yeah.
at. I want to look at the standings for Prospect because this creates a very interesting scenario where Utah really decides everything.
Oh wow.
We got 2 points between 1 and 2, so really Utah decides who wins the championship. And now there's big gaps, so obviously I think I don't think anyone is going to catch these guys unless they both like get knocked out in top 32 or something.
Right.
So these guys have 1 and 2 on lock. It's just a battle for first at this point for those guys. And then, so you got to remember the top 3 in Prospect get pro licenses.
Yep.
So this third spot is going to be very, very, very contested. And
Yeah, you got a lot of people fighting for that.
yeah, we
Look at-
got probably
it's tight.
5 easily, if you really wanted to give it to the guys in the 120s,
Mm-hmm.
almost 10 people that could really, vie for that spot. But I think it's probably going to be, just math-wise, it's probably going to be someone 140 plus.
Yep.
That's going to be getting this
Damn.
third spot.
Amanda, imagine somehow coming in.
Yeah, I mean, you got Amanda in here. You have
Chen out of
Josh
Chen.
Love, who obviously, is Randy's year pro. You have
Yeah.
Nate Chen, who I know has been gunning for a pro license. And then look at Cody Buchanan, man.
I can't believe
What a
it.
goofball, man. And he's out here doing work, man.
I have no idea how this is happening. I'm
I'm
not saying he's bad, but it's just like
It's just his mentality
crazy.
is so silly,
yeah, he's having a good time.
I know. And then you
Yeah.
got Mod out here, who I know has been
He's
gunning for a
also-
pro license as well.
He's having a good time too, though.
Mm-hmm. So it's really between those, I would say 6 drivers, if I counted that right.
Yeah.
5 drivers. Those 5 drivers. So it'll be really interesting to see where they kind of
Can't
end up in
believe
the
that,
bracket.
though. That's
And-
crazy. Alex, get your shit together, bro. The fuck, man.
Yeah, well, there's always next year, I guess, right?
He's 126.
It is interesting though, because there isn't been like a rookie that's blown everyone away this year.
Yeah,
In
it's
Prospect.
been
You
very
got-
tight.
You got Nick Jimenez, and he's down here a ways, and the competition for Rookie of the Year is going to be between Lewis and Nick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Brian
for the most part,
Willis.
it's going to be between Lewis and Nick here. But obviously, there hasn't been a rookie that's set the world on fire this year.
Yeah.
Like we've seen in pro.
Who's in last?
Hmm?
Who's in last?
Malvasio.
Oh wow.
I don't think he was at last round.
I think he blew up his car. He was, but he texted Ricky, or it was either him or Advani that texted Ricky for the seating bracket at
Mhm.
2:30 in the morning, saying, "Good luck. We can't." So, damn.
I mean, he must have been the older one. Fruka blew his engine as well.
Yeah. Sucks.
Tim says Dano's done for the season. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. But
His car sounded cool.
yeah. So I'm excited, and we'll talk about this in the preview too. We'll bring up the stats again, talk about that stuff. But it's nice that Utah means something.
Yeah.
It's always a bummer when you go to Irwindale and then the first place is already decided, Rookie of the Year is already decided, and you're just like, okay, why are we here?
We definitely know pretty much what's decided for Irwindale already at this point, at least for first. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
first looks like it's gonna be done. I'm assuming the Rookie of the Year is gonna be decided as well. So
Yeah.
the way things have been going, unless this brings up an interesting conversation point, unless they start judging Manoa on his driving, which
Mhm.
is a conversation piece that I would like to bring up when we start talking
Transitioning
about pro
over
stuff.
to pro.
Yeah, because I am personally not a big fan.
You don't like it.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I think that
you can
it's-
hear it. I don't like it because it's not consistent in the fact that his throttle is not consistent
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
fair.
It's always like this,
Yeah.
and you may not, and it's just the way he drives the car is different than everyone else, but but the problem is it makes you drive different.
Very good,
The point
very
is it makes you drive different than everyone else, so it makes you harder to follow compared to everyone else. And it's one of those things where he's hitting all the zones,
Yep.
but he's going 2 seconds slower than everyone
He's
else.
it's like crazy because he's like fast and slow. It's not even like the thing is that when he's going, he's fast as fuck, I feel like. But when it's time to transition or something, slow. Like, and that's where like the spotters, like they time the runs or anything, something like that. And it's hard to determine. It's like, oh, well, he's like, you know, a second slower than you, but like ultimately when you're in the chase or whatever, it feels like it's an eternity because like he's doing all this wacky things like on that initiation. Like,
I mean, to me, I consider it the same as left foot braking, overly using it left foot braking.
right,
He's just using the throttle to get the car to places he wants, but not committing,
yeah,
if that makes sense. He's
yeah,
not, and that's my problem. So, with most drivers in Formula Drift, they are fully committed, whether they're online or offline.
yeah,
With him, he can be offline and then kind of wiggle his way back onto line if he needs to because he's not fully committed in corners
right,
with throttle because he modulates so much, and it's not a style of drifting that I'm a big fan of because I
yeah.
love to
You could
see I love
definitely tell the
well, you
culture.
can hear
Like,
it, and you
yeah,
can hear that he's not very often he's full throttle,
hmm,
um, and I would assume drivers depend on that. What's the word? They use that throttle when in the chase to kind of dictate when they're going to transition, for example, and they're going to
yeah,
use that throttle. If they hear that guy in front of them, even if they can't see him, is on full throttle, you're going to be on full throttle.
right.
So.
You expect like
Mhm.
the track or whatever, like and put your like confidence into that lead guy that you're like, all right, well, he's got to go too.
Mhm.
So, and then cut through the smoke, and then ultimately, like, he's just like there. That's
Right.
where, like, I feel like he does that. It is like gaining more grip ultimately by him doing that, and that's why he is able to do the things he does. That's why I feel like his
Well, I feel
speed.
like he's a lot more committed in his chases, which is
Well,
the
yeah,
silly thing because then he
right.
is full throttle on his chases to stay with the people.
He has a point to follow. I'm the
Right.
same way on the sim, and that's where he gets it too. I imagine. Literally,
Mhm.
like it's like if I have follow the leader, it's like, oh, if you put down a good run, my run will be just as good as your good run. But if I have to lead, it's like, man, I hope I don't like, do this, that, the other thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I do see that obviously. Like one of my biggest complaints was like at the end with LZ, and LZ totaled his loving chassis because of Manoa's entry. Ultimately, like the kid threw it in, stabbed the brake, it literally nose went down, and now LZ has to accommodate for that. Like, whereas, like, yeah, I understand, like, you could do all of those things that you did, but not to that drastic measure. Like, I would do those things. Like, I would throw it in, handbrake, maybe a little left foot just to settle it, and then call it a day. But
Right.
this was like a full blown, like nosedive.
Well, the thing is so obviously you see Adam's brake lights when he enters, but it's a left foot brake and he's on full throttle, so it's not a
Right.
drastic slowdown.
Exactly. It's to settle. It's not even slowing it. It's to settle the car. That's why
Mhm.
people make fun of me online all the time. They're like, why you left a brake? I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm going the same speed as you.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
And it's
Here we go.
yeah. So I just wanted to check this out because I haven't had a ton of opportunity to watch this. Obviously, I was filming this,
Yeah. So,
but I'm waiting for the overhead view.
right, where watch those lights. I'm telling you.
Felt so bad for the team too. They
I
were
did
pretty
too.
gutted.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
'Cause
Adam was gutted too. I mean, it's
yeah,
one is probably his favorite chassis or one of his favorite chassis.
yeah, and then after he already hit that wall on Outer 3 earlier, like golly,
Yeah, it was bad.
that was a rough one.
Yeah,
That chassis
obviously I
just
saw
looks
his
like,
video on the actual car and it's toast. It messed
yeah,
everything up.
yep. But hey, he's trying to reshell it, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's made a bigger fan out of me this year than any other year. I will. He gained a lot of my
Well, I think he's proven he can drive. You know.
yeah, and I never really ultimately doubted that, but now it's like, yeah, he crushed it. He's crushing it. Pumped to watch him. Every time that like I see him up at the line, I'm like, oh baby. I get excited now.
Well, he's very aggressive, and his car is
He is.
very what's the word? It has a lot of forward bite.
I
So
think I had this conversation. Oh, here we go. See that? Before he even made contact,
yeah,
you see
see,
those
it's the red
like
lights in the front that you're talking about too.
right,
It's not the brake lights. It's
right.
the light. It's the momentum
It's
lights in the
it's the
front that we're
momentum
talking
light.
about.
Yeah. So like literally
Oh
like
yeah, literally just brake checks them.
yeah. And like I understand I would that's me on Logitech pedals, bro. Like I do that shit all the time. I don't mean to do that, but like it's not what you're supposed to. Like whenever that happens, if somebody hits me, I write in the chat, "My bad," cuz I know that I fucked up. That isn't supposed to be the way how it is, you know? Like y- literally like comes to like you could almost freeze frame him at that point, like he almost does like take my picture and then like fucking brake checks, pauses for a second, and then like like he's 14, he's got a lot to learn. I wish that the judges like obviously what is hell is he gonna do here? Like I feel like that's why they called it maybe the way they did.
Well, the thing is, Adam said he even knew that he needed to give him space on entry because he's so
Of
slow
this.
on entry. Let's see if we can
Like him
do.
taking out of the cones, I've also noticed is incredibly slow. Like compared to some other people, like he takes like a second to like you see the blue light where it like
Mm-hmm.
look how long it is.
Yeah.
That's a good while before he really does anything to articulate the car again.
Let's go. I just want to check out his first run against Adam.
Yeah, no, great. They are the it's basically like reading the G's of the car almost in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the front light is not connected to their brake lights at all. It is connected to the there's like a G meter in their ECU. And if the car itself slows down, then it turns red. Not necessarily if you apply the brakes. If you're still accelerating but you're on like the brakes still, that light won't be red. It'll be green.
Yeah.
I'm curious if Manoa does it because I obviously everyone's paid attention to that second run. So what about
He did it to James too. And
okay?
James just knew, yeah.
Yeah, so you see how there is definitely right when he pulls the handbrake, it's a
Right.
slowdown.
Yeah, it's a quick red, but like his is like serious. Like it's like a heavy.
And this corner's so awkward.
Yeah, it really is. Like a red
um,
light at the end of a corner is
dude.
crazy.
Well, it's
Like
just
it's
like
like, oh, I gotta lock this thing up. Even
yeah.
though you're full throttle, the G meter is coming to red because
Mm-hmm.
you're
Well,
literally like,
I actually talked to Matt Field, and there's another battle I'll bring up. And I was like I was confused about one of the calls, and he explained something to me that actually made a lot of sense. Um, but yeah, so with Adam, you can tell that he's on brakes, but he's accelerating still. So
yep.
it just
Oh, he's dying again.
I know. I just don't like that last corner so much.
No, it's so bad.
But yeah, Manoa has no obviously problem staying with him, which is the funny part because when in the lead, he's 2 seconds slower than Adam, which is wild.
Yeah.
The fact that you're 2 whole seconds slower in a what 30-second course.
Cohen's has definitely one of those been called. Yeah. That's it. Just it like watch him take off out of the cones here.
And to be fair, this isn't the
See,
first time we've seen
it is.
Manoa do this. It's just see
So
there
yeah,
he
the
didn't do it there.
throttle. Yeah, well, the throttle is like hardly even on.
Yeah, but he's not.
Right.
wasn't
he's
red.
not decelling. Yeah.
Which is the difference between his last run. So
Yeah.
he wasn't red this time. So this was technically a better entry. So now we can look at the Dean battle and see if it went red.
Yeah.
You know, because his first run with Adam, it didn't go red.
I agree with
it
you
was,
there too, Greg. If you're gonna be in the sport, you gotta be able to eat 14, 28, 40.
Yeah, I mean, age doesn't.
Like
I mean, if you're driving at this level, yeah, you're going to be criticized for everything.
At the 5th round too.
I mean, how long has Chris Forsberg been made fun of for braking in weird places? Probably justifiable, but like again, he hears it every day. So
yeah, literally.
criticism it comes with the sport.
It really
doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how many championships you got. All right, so let's go check the finals out.
It does. I'm with you, Greg. Sorry. I was trying to. This stupid heart emoji thing is in the way of the chat. I'm trying to read your chat. And I can't. I was like, what the heck is that last word?
Where you got heart emojis at?
It's on the side.
Oh, I don't have that.
Oh. My condolences. Oh.
All right, so here is Manoa's lead, I believe. But obviously, if you're seeing red on entry, like halfway through the corner, that's bad.
That's bad.
I believe they've called other drivers on this track for that as well.
That's where I feel like he got away with it a little bit.
I mean, you also got to assume that FD wanted an actual battle too. Oh yeah, there's the red again.
Like, and he's already initiated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because it looks like Dean almost hits him.
Dude, I thought he was going to. I was going to say, don't you take this away from my mates. Don't you? Look at the size difference, though. It's literally like, it couldn't get any more, like, metaphoric than that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's just a mountain. A whole tower. And then you got this little guy. Which apparently I've been wrong before, and he's tall. So
man, yeah. So what he does is Manoa just sits on those brakes to bring the rear end out more because he's not entering on the wall enough.
Yep.
So he has to use these vices basically to get it out there.
These sim tricks, literally.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
And the judges have not become aware of it, or they like the aspect it brings to the show. I mean, any publicity is a good publicity. So maybe they do, like, I mean,
was Forsberg's battle in the top 16? I can't remember.
Yes. Yeah.
Who was he against again?
Field.
I gotta find it. And what was Forsberg saying in general?
That it should have been a one more time because Field had some mistakes in his chase, and although like Forsberg went off, that it wasn't due to him, it was because of the track or something like that. But I haven't like really watched it back. I thought that like from my perspective up on the wall, it should have been a one more time. I thought that both of them could have brought more to the table. But I
Okay,
taps
so
there.
there's a correction, obviously, from tapping the wall.
Yep.
I don't see anything too drastic from Matt. He obviously gave him a lot of room after he tapped.
Oh,
That
yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of a gross, and that's part of the course. But like, I think you got to stay in
His
it
is
and
a
just
yeah.
tap the rear end on that.
He was gripped up because he knows, Forsberg
Mm-hmm.
isn't slow.
Yeah.
His car is definitely, he doesn't have all the angle as all these other people, so his speed is definitely
Well,
there.
my argument would be that other drivers have been able to make that look smoother to where you're not slamming on the brakes there. They're able to
Yep.
go into that final corner where they're not doing that,
Yep.
and then making it look so bad.
Yep. And like I think it's a matter of like you cut some of the outer zone in one point just
Mm-hmm.
to fill it later on, so you're at the, and you're
Mm-hmm.
closer to the tire wall
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than like being deep at the beginning and then like now you got to check
Right.
yourself back into place.
Yeah, and this kind of goes into the conversation with Thorne's battle. I forget against who, but I was against Forsberg, where he went basically backwards into the zone and filled it probably better than anyone else filled it the entire weekend. But Matt Field, when I was asking Matt about it, he's like, he didn't like it because it's an unorthodox way to slow down the car.
Yeah.
For someone in the chase run to try and follow, even if he holds his angle the entire time and doesn't
Yep.
like correct, it's still not a good lead run because of the way that he slows the car down is
Right.
not chaseable, is what he was saying, which is an interesting way to look at it.
I agree.
Because what Matt was telling me was what you need to do is go into it kind of shallow.
Yep.
So that you don't obviously over rotate the car, but you go in shallow. See how he's going in pretty shallow?
Yeah. Then you
And
can
then
come
kind of
out with more
finding,
angle. Yeah.
and then pull on the angle later in the turn.
Yeah. Where like then even the chase driver has time to like roll themselves into that as well.
Yeah.
Which didn't light the tires off until he was car lengths into outer zone 2. Field was deep. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like I can't gripe on the call. The only other way that I wish that it had gone is a one more time. And honestly, wishing is a strong term because I mean we're at the end of the day, and I don't really wish one more times on anybody out there.
Yeah, and for
But
me, it was obviously I think there was a slight correction with Matt in that last outer zone, but I think he made it a lot smoother
yeah,
than Forsberg did, and he doesn't have the big correction on entry,
right.
and that's your difference right there, because the rest of the lead run's pretty similar. The rest of the chase is pretty similar.
Yep.
I just think the correction in outer 1, and then the more obvious correction in outer 2, and really Matt didn't slow down; he just angles up a lot, which is different than getting on the brakes like what Forsberg did.
He is following the track.
But again, obviously, no one I think is happy with the track now.
No.
No one I don't think ever really was, but it's one of those things where you make do with what you got. But now the track just got worse.
Yeah, and it does suck, Greg. I mean, you definitely can go up there and make a stink, and they'll hear you out. That's how they were able to do the reruns of Rudy's and who was Rudy with? Dimitri, Rudy and Dimitri, and then Derek and Haley. So Madison and Haley, because they went up to the tower and they were like, "Yo, this paint is ridiculous," and they're like, "All right, let's run it back, I guess." The most pathetic thing ever.
For me, it's frustrating because you kind of have to run the track how it is, even if it is kind of a crappy situation. And What's his face? Jack Shanahan did it a couple weeks before in DMEC. I didn't agree with the call then. I still don't agree with the call now because it affects the previous runs before you, and the only reason they ran is because it was early in the battles.
Yeah.
If this was like the last battle or something of the seeding bracket, there's no way they would have done that. The only reason they
Yeah.
even considered it was because there was only one battle that was done, and I don't like that. I don't like using that as a way to rerun because the problem with Jack Shanahan and the way they reran it, they only reran his battle, and there were previous battles before him that had ran into that same slick spot.
Yeah.
So
It's like, so what are you
it's
gonna do?
you
Like,
now you're just showing favoritism is what it looks like to everyone
yeah.
else,
And
which is a major problem, you know. So
Greg, it wasn't the lines. It was the apparently the texture of the paint that made it felt different or whatever. It's
yeah,
like,
well, the thing is they put a ton of paint on the
they
track
lay it down
with
thick. So like
with
ultimately they're
the
not wrong.
yeah. So with this track, they have like some weird machine that puts the paint down. It's like a real machine instead of like little cans
And they're
that
using some like different type of paint
yeah.
though too. Like I
It's a
walked on
different
that, I
kind,
was
and it
like, wow,
takes a
this is
minute to
like,
dry.
yeah,
And they just didn't take the minute to dry it before this. Um, but
yeah,
again, and I'm not saying that it didn't make the track slicker. It probably I can pretty much guarantee
yeah,
you it
no,
did. But it's one of those things where Andy was able to drive the track just fine with it, like the track just fine with the paint, and then
right.
he unfortunately, it was a really bad situation. Just the way where all his stuff was and the amount of time to fix his car
Right, that was
and
my bad, guys. I thought that he meant the lines, not the actual thick, like how it was wet still. Yeah. Nah, you're right. For sure.
yeah. So
That's my bad.
yeah, it's one of those things where it was a really shitty situation, and obviously I'm friends with all those guys, and it sucks because obviously no one's gonna be happy with any turnout of that situation. Someone's gonna be upset,
Yeah,
and unfortunately I think Andy kind of gets screwed over here, but
definitely got screwed over.
it was just compounded by the fact that his car was broken afterwards, and it's just a super shitty situation, you know.
Yeah. You notice that, like, on this run right here, I just saw Simon going 2 tires off and outer zone 4, but they stopped calling that. You notice that they only call that every once in a while? That was part of Alex's complaint. See right there?
Yeah.
He reaches a tire wall. But it looks good,
Mm-hmm.
like that's the thing, like it looks good. That's where the line should really be.
Yeah, to be fair, Olsen lost this battle, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he
Yeah.
lost it in the chase right
Mm-hmm.
away. Yeah. There was
But
no competing
no,
that.
this track is far from perfect, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's why like they definitely the judge like that's why it is a judge sport. We all got to remember and they pick and choose, They have it's opinionated ultimately. There's no factual evidence. Like there's no number set that it's
Mm-hmm.
like that camera told me that you got a 95. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's what I think. What
Yeah.
they're doing is best for drivers and fans. Complaining the most, you might. Yeah, no, I do agree with that, Greg. And like I tell people all the time, like we all want FD to succeed. We want it to do, well, to continue to grow. It's what we do, and like you're not gonna do that by just cutting off battles or like saying, all right, well, better luck next time. Like no, like at the end of the day, yeah, I don't really always love to see one more time battles, but I know that when I was a spectator, I loved it. And like it was like, yeah, like it's not over yet, baby. Like and like if I saw the schedule and like it ended an hour early, like I would be so upset as a fan. Like it's like, okay, well, why did I buy overpriced food at the thing? Like if I could just be home in X amount of hours or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely I agree that they should cater more towards they're fans, and remember that that is how we are able to do these things. I mean, I'm sure that they're obviously very conscious about it. Every decision that they make, I imagine, is probably some regard in the fans' hand. Like they think of them, but like it, you know, just like anything, an update can be kind of shitty sometimes. Look at all the airlines and everything this past weekend. So
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes another update. We'll get her back right on track.
No, it's true. Like, and you know, FD this year has made a lot of weird decisions with some of the rules they've made, and I feel like they've put out themselves in some really bad situations because of the rules as well.
Yeah.
So it's partially their doing as well, and it's kind of unfortunate because obviously, to me, it almost seems like they're trying too hard to make the sport better. In the
Too
fact that
official, too fast, and like it is,
not
it's
necessarily too
already
official
official.
because I feel like they're making it harder to understand the sport.
Yes.
And for me, I'm all about growing the sport, and if you make the sport harder to understand and harder to figure out who's going to win and who's going to lose, then I think less people will want to be a part of it and be involved because then they'll just be upset and they won't understand what's going on, kind of thing.
It's true, dude. I say to my boys all the time, like at this point in time, if I was you, I wouldn't be doing this anymore. Like this is just miserable. Like you spend all this money, you do all this shit to get out here, and just to be an L to what? Like, just some stupid thing, some new rule. It's like, oh, you can be straight for 1 second. It's like, all right, well, okay, like this, that, the other thing, and picking favorites, even though it's like I don't pick favorites. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's favorites. Everybody has a favorite.
I mean, there's
And
definitely drivers that benefit from the benefit of a doubt, or if they're putting good runs out.
it's like,
Like they see that the judges
yeah.
see that they watch practice, they
Oh
understand
yeah,
who's driving well and who's not. You know,
exactly. It's like the Gran Turismo movie, where the one head honcho CEO guy wants to have like the money man, the good speaker that's on camera to be the guy, but the crew chief is just like, nah, man. Like here are the facts. Like even though that he might not be the best right now, he is better. Like, and that's like the same type of thing. Like I would make calls based on that. It's like, oh well, this is a close battle, but ultimately we know that this person is better. Like, push them, push them on.
Exactly. Well,
In California, I could just drift to West Coast. Yeah, I mean that's true.
let's see
Just
if there were any other battles that
Malik mentioned the Ospo entry on to Odie, but it's not like it wasn't confrontational battle or anything. That
it
was
was just
just
sick.
sick as hell. I think that was top 8.
I mean, it's a standard Osbo thing. I feel like to just be a better driver than everyone else.
Dude, I don't know.
He's one of those guys where it's just like you watch him drive and you're just like, how did you do that?
Yeah, he just figures it out all the time. He is a machine.
Like he
Before James Dean. I mean, James Dean's a machine, but
right. But like what I like about Osbo is there's been multiple times where he's hit the wall and kept the front end out of the wall, and I'm just like, how did you do that?
yeah.
I thought for sure you were. Oh yeah, I see that. That was a crazy
Yeah.
entry.
Like
like,
this
how do you
matching
not-
angle was just crazy.
Well, he
like
didn't
that.
match the angle. He had more angle than Odie on
Yeah.
entry. It was sweet.
Well, I was just so sad that he was further away. Like, damn, man, if you were like, I would have puckered hard if I did that. I've been like, oh boy, I would have been at least 12 car lengths behind before I started to even do anything. It's like, wowie. Yeah, the overhead is crazy. He gets back on it. That's the thing. Like he gets back on it, but he hits those rumble strips, and then that's it. Odie's car is just so hooked up, bro. The thing is so fast. Oswald's giving her all she's got, and he's like, "Damn, man,
Mm-hmm.
wish I was still in this chassis."
No, I mean Osbo is such an amazing driver. It would
Yeah.
be I would agree with Malik though. It'd be cool to see him go back to DMAC just to mop some kids up over there.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to
Yeah.
see. But so I'd like to see FD run as smooth as DMAC. Best thing I do is start FD broadcasts an hour to hour and a half late and skip past all the breaks. I generally catch up to live feed it around top 8. That's pretty smart. That's
Yeah.
good. It's a smart move there, bud.
There are definitely a lot of breaks.
Yeah, and there's only so much you can do with this kind of sport anyways because of that. Again, I think Drift Masters does a lot better job at it because they don't give people as many chances to fix their cars as we do in FD. But from a driver's perspective, you get a better chance at a fair battle in Formula Drift because of it. So
It'd be cool if we did like, during the break instead you have like another driver that comes out and just does fucking donuts or something.
yeah, but what if you're cleaning up the track from a crash?
Yeah, you're
So-
right. Or well, like this is where like then you gotta think of like other avenues to keep the people interested to stay, like continue looking at the track, or
Yeah, we'll get like someone out
bring
there to
them
start
into
juggling.
the pit. Well, I mean like dirt bike people that like just hit like a couple jumps, like those like metal ramps and shit.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
You see every goddamn thing.
No. Well, I want to send you Herbie out there, and we can have you juggle some chainsaws or something.
I don't know if I could even toss them high enough to begin with. I mean, like, hey, if it's paying, I guess I'll give it a. You try anything once, right? Oh shoot! No.
I did actually want to go just quick check out the bracket. Give some shout outs to some guys that had some success this weekend. One of the guys I was giving crap to was Mike Power, because he got a 3rd place podium for showing up.
He did.
And I was giving him crap. It was like, it's gotta be the easiest podium you've ever gotten. He's like, well, yeah. And he's like, the annoying part is people are congratulating me, and I'm like, and he's like, stop it. I didn't do anything.
That's what I've seen him at the end of the like where they gathered, and he just didn't look amused at all.
Yeah.
He is just like, man, I don't even know why I'm here right now. Like, can I just pack up? Yeah, Hobson is unlucky. Shout out to Hobson, real quick. That dude.
To be fair though, Hobson did really well
He
against
did.
Robbins. That was
best
a heck of a run by Hobson there.
Best thing to lose by right now is a mechanical failure for that guy, and because everybody's looking at him, and if he loses based on the car failing, he's fucking up and up. Because he would have won that battle too. Dude, I was rooting for him so hard, man. Just to get a top 16, get out of the seating bracket,
Well, he made it out of the seating bracket for the first time, and it was straight up with Alec Robbins. Great battle. He just outdrove Alec in there. I talked to Robbins afterwards. Ben didn't have many, if at all, practice laps, so it was a really good drive by him. And Alec was a little caught out with how fast he was. But yeah, no, great job from Ben.
Yep.
In the seating bracket, obviously put the car away because they were having issues. It's a bummer that it wasn't fixed because he then lost to LZ.
Yeah, literally, it shut down, or he had to get towed off at the end of that battle, right? Like literally, as he won, he
lost the clutch at the end.
I think I got it on video of him like having a cheering, even though like he was getting towed and everything. He knew we're in.
Yeah. Shout out Dimitri, who just probably drove over 100 laps that weekend.
Dude,
between Pro and Prospec.
Insane amount of laps.
Obviously winning the bracket is, you don't get points for it, but it's good it's good to see that you're able to still compete with all of these guys and do well. Obviously, Stuckey, you see Stuckey up there.
Yep.
He was looking for a little bit of some kind of win
Yep.
going on, so that's good for him. And then, yeah, I mean, one of the things I was curious about was obviously we talked about the Thorn battle and how he kind of put it backwards into the zone, filled it really
Yep.
well, but the fact that you use that way to slow the car down, it makes it not easily chaseable.
Yep.
Just trying to
Yeah.
remember. I think
He had no type of taillights on for that battle.
yeah, that's what happens when you crash into walls.
Yep.
But yeah, were there any other battles that really stuck out to you? Next thing is I'll just quick look at the standings. There's not too much to look at them, to be honest,
Yeah.
but
I was hyped for Hughes. I was really hyped
yeah,
for him.
Hughes had another good round.
Yeah.
One of those
He's-
guys where, he a little slower in the beginning of the season, for
Yeah.
him. So it's good to get him back out here.
He's finishing a little stronger. He's
Yeah,
still like
actually,
he's
the
hanging
battle
around the top
between
10.
Dean and Shanahan was pretty fire.
It really was. Yeah, they got to do the one more time.
Yeah, so always great seeing those guys go against each other. Still, Shanahan amazes me that he can make that car work so good. Just
He-
the way he drives is insane.
Like he was doing it sometimes. I feel like it wasn't necessarily a calculated throw into 4. It was more of like a happened too quick, and he's trying like he made it work every time, genuinely, and it looked gangster as hell every time. But it wasn't every run that he would throw it into that.
Mhm.
And I also agree with you that I was surprised that his car was able to. Well, not really too surprised, but that looked like a hefty job after LZ clipped that outer 2. That was a big one. Hit it right in the
Yeah.
soft spot. Right?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, and obviously one of the big battles of the weekend was the battle between Odie and Olsen. Obviously,
Yeah.
Odie, who's higher placed, did get the win against Olsen. So
Olsen
that pretty much
definitely
finishes
choked in that
Olsen's,
chase.
Olsen's opportunity to get back into that top spot. Pretty much solidifies this season, I think. And obviously he's going to be pushing the rest of the year, but I think
You
if I
never
remember
know.
correct, yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where
James Dean could like have ultimate car failure at the beginning of every round, and RTR themselves can't even fix it, that's just impossible.
I mean that's what
but-
happened to Ben.
Yeah, but I think for James, they would just swap every. They'd be like, all right, new motor, new trans, new drive shaft, everything.
All right,
It's
Ben,
like,
you don't
all
get a
right,
car anymore.
yeah, sorry, buddy.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, you understand.
But no, you're right. It was a fun event though. Weather was great again, and
Yeah.
it was just a fun time, honestly. Which I usually don't have a fun time at St. Louis. So let's quick
Well,
pop the
yeah.
standings up.
I think it was nice too. You had your car.
Oh yeah, I gotta drive my car out there. I enjoy. I really am liking the car. It's a good car.
Yeah, and it made that experience a bit more enjoyable. Normally, I make that walk all the time.
Yeah, St. Louis without a car
All
is
the time.
death. Period.
No car, no scooty.
But yeah,
Dude, 118 points behind. That's
yeah.
crazy.
So let's just say James Dean's won.
He's got that's a tough one to beat right there.
Yeah.
Never
pretty
know
much.
though. I mean, unless like, Odie goes up against him in like a top 32 and then somehow, which he wouldn't because it's seeding bracket.
Yeah. And then
Oh man.
I guess you could look at like the top 3. Osbo's obviously still battling with Odie for second spot there.
Yep.
You got Manoa and Olsen still hanging around. But I think unless Shanahan starts winning some events, which is entirely possible.
Yep.
I think Manoa is doing pretty good for himself as Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully he just cleans up his little crazy driving antics a little bit.
yeah, I think some tracks he's really like Seattle. He's gonna have to put the pedal to the floor.
Yeah, there's no
Um, and Utah,
finagling.
you can't pussyfoot around either.
No, not at all.
So or Irwindale. So the next three tracks are all super fast, super big,
Yep.
like foot to the floor kind of tracks. So,
Irwindale's gonna be crazy for him.
and it's crazy. Adams, even with his crash, has moved up to seventh now.
That's crazy. I'm so
hmm
happy for him, man.
Yeah, I mean you got Matt still hanging around. Obviously not the greatest year for Matt. Um, just mechanicals have kind of been lingering around with him
Yeah,
and whatnot. Dylan, as you said, moving up the standings in eighth. Ken Gushi's still
that's
up
it.
there.
It's
Love seeing
crazy.
Ken
Brandon Sorensen in there.
rounding
What a
it out.
wild top 10. I
hmm
mean, not really. The top 3 is like, ah, yeah, I could have called that. But
Manoa's definitely a surprise for me at least, and Sorensen is definitely a surprise, and Adam, to be fair.
yeah, like
But
Dylan, I expect Dylan honestly now, like always in a top 10. Like he's
mhm.
just always consistent in the fact that
I
he
guess
does what he
I guess
needs
the
to do.
question is so far, who's your biggest disappointments, for the year?
My biggest disappointment,
I mean, for me it'd have to be Turk.
yeah,
Going B58, getting those two
it,
extra cylinders and then
dude, it's
just not working out.
not working out for the guy. I mean, I'd have to double that, yeah, because I wanted him to get a championship so bad. As much as I love Dean, I love Dylan, I do love Turk too, and that dude's been in it for a minute, and he drives so well. Good dude. Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if his time will ever come.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else, it kind of just like makes sense. I'm upset that Forrest and Dean Carney like ended up only just doing half of the rounds. Like it's
Yeah, it's
kind
kind
of
of a bummer, honestly. It's like I just hope that they didn't say no to people because, those guys were going to run a couple rounds. Like, it's
right.
kind of annoying when you want to run a full season. We obviously have a bunch of buy runs in the seating bracket.
Yep.
Like, it would be nice to fill those spots with people,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like ultimately like they should have like this past event they should have just filled out those empty spots. Like Haley shouldn't have lost. He should have just gotten Vaughn and whatever Forrest spot. Nice kitty. I didn't even know you had a cat too.
Yeah, he's awful. It's an orange cat. It's an orange cat problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mondays.
he's literally a little demon, but he can hang out for a little bit. Um, what was I gonna say? I don't remember anymore. But yeah, so no, there was just like, I want. What are you doing? Holy shit! That is. Hey, get off the keyboard.
Look at her go. Or is it he or her?
It's a him.
Him.
It's a demon.
Uh,
Yeah, he's just. I have a keyboard over here, and he's just gonna lay on it and mess everything up.
hell yeah. The
But
buttons feel nice.
yeah,
The buttons on his button.
I don't know.
Dang.
Is there someone other than Manoa that you've been super impressed with this year?
Um,
I mean, Adam, I think can have some of that nomination, but I knew he was a good driver.
I mean Diego at Orlando,
Yeah, I
but
mean, it's weird
that's an
because
easier one.
Diego seems like he's right there, but he doesn't have that extra
I
the
don't know
oomph
what
to
it
him,
is. Yeah, like Trent Beecham's been doing pretty good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty proud of him. But well, like Ken Gucci,
Yeah.
you
As
know,
as
like
as weird
even
as
though
that
like
is to say, like
yeah, because 20 years of doing this shit and like doing it overseas or whatever, but like coming from a rough season last year with that other motor, And now back to the 2JZ platform that he's known and loved for years. Like he
Mhm.
just, and the car isn't, set up to necessarily be all about aesthetic. I saw that too. Nice.
Are you
Dean
serious right
Hockey
now,
didn't
bud?
expect it.
You serious right
Yeah,
now?
Malik, I honestly thought that James Dean was going to take at least up until like about now through this season to really learn the RTR. But all it took was Irwindale, I guess, last year, and he was like, all right, we're going to do this a different way.
It's true though. He said he changed a ton of stuff on the car over the off season. So
Yep,
I
made
think
it
he
more
made
him.
he tried to make the weight smaller, even though the car itself is big. He tried to bring all the weight more central, so it transitions faster.
Yep. I mean, whatever he's doing, man, he drives that boat around like it's a goddamn canoe. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think Kitty wants me to play with him, so we're gonna end her off here.
All
Unless
right.
you got
Yeah,
any
we'll do
more
another
final
one.
things.
We'll do another one before Utah,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do it the Thursday before, and actually remember what week it is as well, unlike last time.
It was a nice little surprise, dude. Oh, I just beat Moog
Well, there you go.
all on my own. No mimic tier, no nothing.
Really?
Yeah, dude, it was miserable.
Yeah, I definitely cheated that. Definitely
Well,
wore the ring, and then I have a mage build and one shot
well,
him, so
I,
that's
I
pretty
found
boring.
out the physic that I needed to
Mm-hmm.
use, that red tier or whatever. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, dang, wow. So I don't need to use 5 flasks. Oh,
Thanks,
did you
Malik,
see?
for the chat, man. It's always great having you in here.
Yeah, thank you, Malik. Did you see my? I did an edit for Saron.
I haven't yet. I have not really looked at social media or posted anything because
I,
I've been editing for every day,
I did
basically
a.
until I wake up until 2 in the morning.
He
That's
gave
what I
me
do.
his Super 8 footage and let me do an edit for him. Hell yeah,
Was it fun
dude!
to use?
It was very cool to use. I mean, it was scanned in at 24, but I had to use my iChrometer to determine because he shot in I think 9, 18, 24, and 56 frames a second. So like some of the clips, you could tell they're like fast paced, like an old school film, like movie where it's like guy getting bonked on the head, like do 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 do, like speed, But yeah, it was cool. It came graded, so I didn't have to do it. I literally just had to like pretty much cut it up
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, and then just like change pace on things.
Yeah, that's sweet though. That's so cool.
It is neat. It's expensive as hell. It's like $40 a roll of film. I'm like, man. I'm like, how many did you go through? He's like 7 or 8.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez Louise, dude. And then you gotta get it. You gotta get it transferred, scanned, this, that, the other thing.
That's wild, man.
Yeah,
Man, people have really crazy passions.
the dedication.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. I appreciate everyone hanging out. I go mess with this cat. He keeps
Nope,
touching my keyboard, as you
he's
can
already
see.
pissed at you.
He probably is.
You flopped his foot. He ain't like that.
But again, everyone, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.